Nobody is.
Is this the new one?
Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between, right here on 106.9, the Country Giant KLGD, rocking and rolling this morning. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope your summer's going well. It is going well in here. We got fans. We got a lot of things. We got a little bit of a heat wave up here on the 8th floor here in the Cozy Live studio. Josh, it is toasty.
Yeah, do we have any, I don't know, like HVAC people that want to sponsor the show and start by fixing the air conditioner here?
Can we just start by sponsoring the building? It is, but I told you, and again, thank you everybody for tuning in this morning. Facebook Live, YouTube, all the things, and of course on KLGD169.com.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can watch me start to sweat.
You will,
Like,
and
see the sweat run down my face.
The puddles that may drip from Josh's forehead is not rain. But yeah, so I came in and I came upstairs, up the elevator, not stairs.
I was going to say, if you walked up the stairs and then came in here, you probably would have died.
Yeah, it'd been like a sauna for sure. And so I get up here, and it's a little toasty, but no, don't think anything of it. Just kind of pop in and look in the thermostat at 86. And Josh, really, when you look at the grand scheme of 86 compared to what it may be today in the triple digits, 86 is amazing.
Yeah, I don't really want to think about what it might be like in this building at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yes, we will check on Greg Austin in the afternoon to make sure he is okay. I might get an ice bath for him. But, hey, we're glad that you're with us this morning. A lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of things over the weekend, over the week, since last week that have happened. We've got a coach that is being honored, but it's one of my pet peeves, and it's even more of a hot topic that we'll talk about a little bit later on. Our Big Country Electric My Town segment will be at the bottom of this hour. Next week, the WAPT Women's All-Pro Golf Tour comes to Abilene for the third year in a row with the Mackey Construction golf tournament next week. Girls are going to be coming in. They're playing in Brownwood this week. Brianna Steger will be joining us at the bottom of the hour to talk about getting ready for next week. She's got this week off, but she is playing next week. And actually next Friday, we'll do like we did last year. We will be live. The Hodge Pack will be on the road. We'll be live at Abilene Country Club next Friday, as we'll be on the road there doing the show there from the pro shop again like we did last year. So, but she'll be here at the bottom of this hour. U.S. Open's going. Rangers really looking forward to getting Josh's take at 7:15 on the Texas Rangers. I think there's never been a time where you were ready for Shohei to leave. Josh,
take that Shohei on the road.
Yeah, take that show on the road somewhere else, anywhere but here. And so we'll talk about that. Misty's back. Misty will be here a little bit later. And of course, we've got your number. We've got 93. And again, we're going to find a way to give away an autographed copy of Got Your Number by Mike Greenberg. So we'll get you. We'll look at that. I've got a side note. Wow, Misty's really early. Hey.
Hello. You're welcome.
Misty coming in.
Coming in hot.
There you go.
Song about that.
It's very hot.
It actually is very hot in
yeah,
here.
literally. Yeah, that is a true story.
And I'm never hot in here.
That's old news. Very hot.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, but it is. But anyway, so lots of stuff to cover. Again, the U.S. Open started yesterday. We'll kick off our Lawrence Hall headline report with the U.S. Open. Ricky Fowler shooting 8 under along with Xander Schauffele. Wyndham Clark, 6 under. DJ at 6 under. Brian Harmon and Rory McIlroy at 5 under. A lot of favorite guys yesterday, Josh. The whole week was talking about how big the rough is. Har's going to be a good score, and it sounds like birdies were on sale yesterday. With guys shooting 8 under. And so round 2 will start today. Want to give a shout out to everybody at the American Cancer Society. Misty was there yesterday that helped raise money for the golf tournament yesterday. And your little punch card thingy went well.
Yeah, that was fun. Punch out cancer.
Yeah.
I'm all about the Price is Right. So if I can recreate that and bring it back, that's what I'm gonna do. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Got Plinko and now a punch out board. So
Yeah. Next thing you know, and they had an opportunity to win a car yesterday, but you had to make a phone one. It wasn't getting the number right or anything like that. But anyway, so U.S. Open's rolling on again, round 2 today out on the West Coast at LA Country Club. A couple things that happened over the week since we've been gone. We have crowned 2 champions. We have got first of all the Vegas Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup over Florida. Josh, I'm going to tell you, 2017 is when this franchise started, and just short time, 7 years, winning a Stanley Cup. Very impressive, and we're starting to see, and we can kind of turn this into a little bit of baseball talk as well. Vegas is becoming a place where franchises want to be. The Golden Knights started it. Now you've got the Raiders. The Aces are doing well in the WNBA, and of course Oakland looking to make that move as well. And so I know they've got drafts and they've got ways to make expansion teams good sooner than normal. But winning a championship in year 7 of your franchise is pretty impressive.
Oh, it's very impressive. That be their second finals, and just kind of start up and just go straight to the top is, really kind of unheard of, but good for them.
But you start talking about it, and I know we have the DCOA that tries to bring businesses to Abilene, and they do a good job with that. Vegas is kind of saying, hey, look, you can come to Vegas. You can be successful. It is a good thing to do. And I just wonder how far along, before we see an NBA franchise there, because we already got an NFL team. You got a hockey team. Baseball's making your way there. You've got a WNBA team already there. And so even though we all think when you watch the Raiders games that it's a bunch of road games because everybody goes to watch their team play in Vegas, Vegas is showing that it is a place where your franchise can be successful. Are y'all shocked by that?
No, well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you either think of Las Vegas one or two ways. It's like, oh, Sin City, party town, and you almost don't think it's relevant as a legit sports town, or the opposite. Or you're like, heck yeah, it's a party town. There's all these things to do. Why wouldn't we bring sports to the party town?
See, and I think it's the opposite. Like we always joke about the Rays, who's the hottest team in baseball, the best team in baseball. Nobody watching them because there's so many other things to do in Florida.
And that's true too. Yeah.
So you don't go watch the Rays play.
There's
but
so many
in the
things.
same thing, the things that most people do in Vegas are after the games.
Right.
Except for the shows, the things that you do at Vegas are after the game. So I just think it is very interesting to see that city and that to have the success they are having with their franchises.
Well, and part of the notion of putting a sports franchise in Las Vegas has been that it is a destination town. People travel there anyway. So, and that was one of the things that I saw, one of the feasibility studies, that they were putting out there as far as like the A's moving there, and they were having the vote in their state house whether to, give state public funds, as part of building a new sports complex. And they had some stats there, and they seemed kind of over the top, and I don't remember what the numbers were, so I'm not even going to try to quote. The thing that they put forward is like the amount of out-of-town fan tickets they would sell to A's games.
They literally would probably do what we assume for football. People would go to watch the Rangers in Vegas. They would go watch the Yankees in Vegas.
You'll plan a Vegas
Yeah.
trip, and now you're like, oh, well, my team's going to play there on this weekend, so let's go then. We'll catch that game and then do the whole Vegas thing, And so it'll be interesting to see because, for one, all these teams move in, so the A's are not moving a terribly long ways, from Northern California, but they are going to be in a new place they have to build a new fan base. So they'll, will people just be like, oh, now it's the Las Vegas A's, and I've lived in Las Vegas for the last, however many years. So now I'm an A's fan. I don't know how quick you make that switch.
I think because of the success of the Golden Knights Raiders hadn't had a whole lot of success, but I think people are going to be used to that. Very similar to the people in the Metroplex, even though we've had them for a long time. You go watch a Cowboys game, you go watch a Ranger game, you go watch a Mavs and the Stars. I think it's just going to become natural for them. And so, anyway, Vegas, baby. There you go. Speaking of championships, we got about a couple of minutes left before last week or this past week, the Denver Nuggets win their first ever NBA championship in franchise history. Djokovic obviously winning the MVP. Fantastic. He has been so fun to watch because he gives it all the guy. He's gotten a lot of flack of how hard he didn't celebrate. He's got the champagne. He's not doing a whole lot, and he's like just ready to go home. He's on the press conference, and they said, "Are you excited about the parade?" And he goes, "When's the parade?" And he said, "It's Thursday." He gives this look of disappointment because all he wants to do is go back to Serbia. But I threw out this question, Josh. It's their first championship in Denver Nugget history. They've obviously won a Super Bowl. The Avalanche have won a Stanley Cup. Would you cry if the Rangers were to win their first ever World Series? Would it bring a tear to your eye? Would you get emotional? Because there were people getting emotional as Denver Nugget fans in the stands. Would you get emotional if the Rangers brought home a World Series championship? I think it's an honest question.
Well, it is. I don't really know. I don't think so because in 2011 the Rangers were very close. Where it was, to the point of this is really happening. And obviously things went off the rails in Game 6. So we didn't quite get over that last little bit, but I was very excited. I was very
and of course not
watching
winning.
Baseball at a very high intensity level.
So, but not winning the championship, you don't know. But I think.
Would you cry?
I would be crying because I'd probably get to watch it because they moved the World Series to Valleys. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. We've been alive for a Mavericks championship, but I'm not. I mean, I like the Mavericks. I was a Dirk fan, all those things. We were alive the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, but it was different, and it was a blowout. We kind of got used to it because we won 3 out of 4 years. The Rangers, I think, would. I think Molly might cry. I think Luke may bring
kids
tears.
may cry.
But I did. When I saw that, my first thought was, if the Rangers won a World Series, would it move Josh to tears?
I'm going to say no, but hopefully we get to find out sometime. So
that would be great.
Yes,
and so,
please.
Speaking of the Rangers, when we come back, the Rangers had a decent weekend in Tampa Bay. Not great, but it got worse this week as the Angels came to town. So we'll look at the Rangers. Again, we're not going to panic. That's not what we do. We've got a good team. Not ready to cry yet for the season or a World Series. When we come back, we'll have more Hodge Pack right after this.
Okay, we have to switch. I'm literally like in a music video and I keep eating my hair. So are you good if we switch places? Because look at this. I'm sitting here and it's like.
Well, we can change the fan or we can change places. I don't
Or
care.
do you want to put the? I'm just like every time I say anything, it's like in my. I feel like I'm like in a music video.
No, that needs to be in front of you. With your hair
And I don't
going
make that
backwards.
much money, so.
Whatever you want to do.
Okay, or I want y'all to be able to feel it, but I just.
Honestly, I don't think it's doing anything. But
Oh, okay.
I'm going to see if this.
Making
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Live and everything in between, rocking and rolling. Hour number one. We're glad that you're with us this morning again. Brianna Steger will be at the bottom of the hour with our Big Country Electric My Town segment. Josh and Misty, we met before we get into our Ranger report. We talked about there was a lot going on yesterday. We were at the American Cancer Society Golf Tournament. And then last night, Giovanni and the Hired Guns kicking off Summer Jam for Potosi Live last night. Willie Robertson was in town for Cancer Service Network. And then Belton with the Boys for Ben Ritchie was last night as well. And
was that last night too? I saw some signs.
Probably. I mean, June 15th was like the day to have something in Abilene, Texas. And so, but it was good. Shout out to David Simons. We call him Rory. He won the Belton with the Boys last night singing Don't I Make You Wanna Dance. It was good. But I will say, Krista Hale, I think that's it. You know what I'm saying?
Not ringing the bell.
We'll try to see.
Down.
Yeah, he sang that last night. So, but Krista Hale, I thought nailed Ice Ice Baby. She did a really good job with that. So, raised a lot of money for Ben Ritchie at the Boys Ranch, and so it was good stuff. But just a lot going on in Abilene last night. If you were bored, it was your own fault. So there's plenty to do.
Yes.
So, real quick, Josh, you had mentioned it a couple weeks ago. The event was last night.
Mm-hmm.
How was the Willie Robertson thing last night?
It was very good turnout. Good food. The shed cooked great stuff. And their catering was great. And,
where was the event at?
It was at the Capital Farm Credit Building at the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And it was full. I mean, so there were a lot of people there, and then Willie Robertson. Not really knowing what he was going to talk about. He kind of did a kind of synopsis of his life and how they got to where they are, and then just kind of used that kind of American dream kind of stories, just kind of to be inspirational. But it was funny. I mean, he's obviously a pretty entertaining character. So it was a good time.
Awesome. That is good stuff. So, again, Abilene, always a lot of stuff going on. Again, Summer Jam continuing tonight. Who's Your Daddy comedy show at Potosi Live, and then tomorrow, Wade Bowen headlining tomorrow. A lot of folks, again, unfortunately, Clint Black not able to perform, so they've moved some folks over, like Kylie Fry, Della Rose, and all them. Josh Weathers playing tomorrow. So, check out the lineup. Probably tickets still available to check out the Summer Jam. I'm excited next week. Confederate Railroad's going to be playing.
We have been talking about that for a while.
I am pretty excited.
Very excited.
Not gonna lie, I will be excited.
Are you gonna be front row and center?
I'll be somewhere. I don't know. I will have my Trashy Women sign up and have Misty sign.
Do not put a picture of me on your side.
Yes, I'm here for Misty.
Rude.
Yeah, Trashy Women. Speaking of trashy, Josh, the Texas Rangers this week, which is what happened to me last time I said trashy and we were going to Misty's bag.
Yeah.
But Josh, the Texas Rangers still in first place, doing okay there, still in first place. But this past week, again, they went out to Tampa Bay for a weekend series, came back for 4 with the Angels, and the Angels took 3 or 4. And opportunities, I thought the Rangers had chances to win games, and they've kind of put themselves in that situation. It's almost like it's the same song, same dance. If we get a close game, that's when we get nervous.
Well, yes, and I will say this as far as like they're 3-7 over their last 10 games,
which is opposite of what they've been leading into the month of June.
I guess the silver lining is that the Astros are also 3-7, so the Astros have not been able to capitalize on the Rangers kind of having a slow spot. Watching the games and things, it's not as depressing as just say, 3 of their 3 wins in their last 10 games. But when you're watching the game and seeing what's going on, it's really just that like some hit sequencing hasn't worked that was working before. So if you look at the final line as far as how many hits, walks they had, it looks pretty good. Hit some home runs. It's like things, but it's just they haven't strung those. Hadn't had a guy walk and back that up with a double. And just those things that you need to do to score. more runs. But then, in these games against the Angels, one went to the 12th inning, and the other two, the Rangers had tying runs on base or potentially winning runs on base in the bottom of the ninth, and couldn't cash them in. So it's
and that's what Snead was saying this week at pickleball was we would get runners in scoring position and not capitalize.
Right.
And
so I think it's a very fixable thing. I don't think the wheels have come off. I think it'll just, that sequence will flip back around and we'll start going the other direction. So I mean, the pitching hasn't just fallen apart. There's no just like, the sky is not falling.
No,
it's just a rough little stretch.
And how many Rangers fans are panicking right now?
Well, because and even like Tuesday night before we played pickleball, I went in to grab some food and before we played pickleball, and they turned the Rangers game on, which again, without Bally's, you've got to find places to watch it. So I'm watching it, and a lady next to me was saying, "Oh, the Rangers are notorious for starting out good and then almost like the 800 runner guy that forgot there was 2 laps. That first lap is amazing, and then I got to run a second one." But to your question, or to answer your question, is are Ranger fans panicking? I think they're going back on past years of All-Star break debacle, which we still have a month away for that. So I do think that people get nervous, but again, going back to what Josh said, the sky's not falling. It's a 162 game season. You're already on house money. But again, I go back. We don't want to change our expectations now just because we're glad to be there.
Right. And here's the thing. If you look even like at the Tampa Bay Rays, they're obviously the hottest team in baseball, but they lost 2 in a row to the Athletics following that series against the Rangers. And that was a hard-fought series with the best 2 records in baseball last weekend with the Rays versus the Rangers. And as someone was saying, I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard this listening to something on the radio where a commentator was saying that, it's often when you have those big series that you're all geared up for and you're going into that you got to put your best product on the field to have a stumble afterwards. They were talking about the Rays, because the A's are the worst team in baseball and beat them twice in a row.
And 7-3 in their last 10.
Right.
They're the opposite.
They are the opposite of the Rangers, but their three losses were 1 to the Rangers and 2 to the A's. So it's kind of, I guess it's easy to kind of have that letdown. Also, just like the way the season ebbs and flows in baseball, it's unlike any other sport because you can have bad stretches and it doesn't kill you. I mean, all wins matter when you're tallying up the
which is exciting.
Right.
I like that.
And they also just caught the Angels. The Angels have been terrible. Then they got it together and kind of are playing better now. And so they and on top of that, they caught Shohei Ohtani on he's on a heater. Like he's dropping bombs and getting on base consistently, and he's been hot lately, and kind of ran into that. Which, in all honesty, you talk about MVP votes and things like that. Watching these last 4 games with the Angels, they don't win any of those games without Shohei. Like none of them. I mean, he was the difference in every single game.
Which you stay there 4.5 behind the Rangers right now. He keeps doing that. Keep relevant in that division. The thought of trading Shohei or anything like that is out the door.
Yeah, the best case scenario for us as Rangers fans is for the Angels to do just good enough that they decide not to trade Shohei, because I don't think they're going to be able to re-sign him after this season. So what would be best for the Angels going forward would be to cash him in for a lot of chips as far as prospects and things like that they could get back from trading him. If they feel like they're in it enough to not trade him and then don't re-sign him, their team will be worse off next year because of it. So obviously if you're on the Angel side of that coin, you think this heater's just going to roll and you're going to move into the wild card, maybe even play for the division against the Rangers and the Astros. And so, I mean, they have reason to be optimistic, but I despise the Angels, so I wish them the worst.
Well, the Blue Jays are coming to town. A couple other things about the AL West. Lance McCuller with the Astros out for the year. Big blow to them, which you'd never want anybody to be hurt, but it is a benefit to the Rangers. And again, we've seen that with DeGrom. You're always one play away from not knowing what's going to, from somebody key being injured and hurt and for the rest of the year. So Texas Rangers take on the Blue Jays this weekend to finish up their homestand. So hopefully they can get back kind of on track again. Get in the Hello Win column and get that rolling again. The Rangers with a 3.5 game lead over the Astros. Again, Josh mentioned the Tampa Bay Rays on a heater, if you will, 7-3 in their last 10. The Orioles were playing fantastic as well, and of course the Minnesota Twins. Congratulations, they are finally above 500. Okay, again, that's our Texas Rangers report. Hey, you got to be excited when you're just you're winning your division, so you got that going for you. When we come back, we'll be going to our Pest Patrol phone line and bringing in Brandon Sturger from the WAPT. She'll be coming here next week to play in the Mackey Construction Women's All Pro Tour next week. A lot of going on. Women's, we got a party for women. We've got party for women, true story. Party for women. We got a junior clinic all next week. Lots going on. We'll talk to Brianna about that in a moment with our Big Country Electric My Town segment. Again, appreciate Lytle Land and Cattle bringing this show to you, where you can get a Hodge Pack any day of the week. So go check them out this weekend. When we come back, our Big Country Electric My Town segment and golf, professional golf, coming to Abilene right after this.
Y'all think it's too loud? Or y'all think it's okay? I just feel like it's. Yeah, that was too, but. Yeah, no. I don't want to do that either.
There's not food on it, but I was like, uh-oh.
Which is totally fine. Yeah, it is getting a little spicy in here. How's your Friday? Oh,
Yeah, I have really nothing on the docket. It's just like half of our branch is on vacation today, so it's going to be very sparse.
Hey, Brianna, how are you? I'm doing But anyway, we're looking forward to having you at the house. It'll be a wild week, but it'll be good. So, what's that? Oh, you bet. We have a good time with it. So stay there. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between. Right here on 106.9 The Country Giant, brought to you by Lytle Land and Cattle. It is time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment where we highlight a local player, coach, or program. And today we're highlighting a tour and we're highlighting an event that's coming to the Big Country next week, the Mackey Construction Women's All-Pro Tour coming. There'll be 113 professional golfers, ladies taking the state of Texas by storm, and as well as the world of golf. And so joining us on our Pest Control phone line that will be here playing next week for the second time, Brianna Steger joining us on our Pest Control phone line. We appreciate Big Country Electric Cooperative taking care of their members each and every day. Brianna, we appreciate you joining this morning. I know it's early out there on the Brownwood East Coast, not East Coast really, but it's Brownwood. And so we appreciate you joining us this morning. And so, Brianna, we're just real quick, we want to talk about next week. Lots going on. Again, it's the third year in a row that the Mackey Construction Golf Tournament is coming to Abilene Country Club on the south side, South Course. The ladies have been coming here again for the last 3 years. It's a great spot on tour. There's a lot of things going on. There's a ladies party that on the 16th green, or out there on the putting green this year. You'll want to be sure you head over to that. That'll be on Wednesday night. And then also you've got the junior clinic that's happening on Thursday. Kids, you need to come learn from these professionals. It's a lot of fun at 5:30 on, I believe it's Thursday. So Brianna, let's talk about it again. Tell our listeners kind of where you're from and kind of what got you into golf, and just kind of educate our listeners.
Well, I started golf about 21 years ago. I'm currently 24. I started when I was 3 years old, clubbing my hands, and my dad was actually on the family, which was really well. And ever since then, I played my very first golf tournament when I was 5. And then was on and off with golf for a while. When I was about 12 years old, I picked back up again a little bit more serious and continued everything. Then I started my, of course, in college. I played for 5 years, then the last 12 years at NCAA gave us a year back. And then about 2 years ago, I started my professional career. So this is my second year.
And so now, Brianna, where did you play college golf at?
I played college golf at Cal State Northridge, 8 times 50 mil.
And so you're a California girl, correct? Oh, nice. So for Pasadena, of course, right now you got the U.S. Open happening at L.A. Country Club. All the talk was about the rough and that even was going to be good and par was your friend. And we've got 8 under leading it after round 1. So it sounded like there was a lot of stuff there. So Brianna, talk about the tour and talk about the professional world. To me, and I've said this to Cecily Overby, who stayed with us, and we talked to some other players last year, it's almost like trying to make it in the music industry. But the difference in trying to make it in the music industry, if you're in Nashville, somebody's got to hear you and trust you. In your world, in the golf world, you're the one that's in control, that gets to see, hey, all right, this is how I play. I'm in charge of my results. So talk about the grind of the professional golf world. You're a few states over from California right now, here in Texas. Talk about the grind and all that comes with being a professional golfer.
Well, this is exactly how it sounds. It's like all the pressure, all the way to win, the way to get on top of the baseball school and the performance. Nowhere else here, out of they're driving to the service to bring a little closer to get the ball or closer to the goal and make the putt. So professional golf is really it's tough. It's not something that it's just like amateur golf where it's like, you get somewhat of a chance because, maybe the next guy's not too good, but they back front. But professional golf, everyone has a chance because we're all pretty good at it. That's what I've learned the last 2 years. So I've learned that there's always opportunities to make it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there's a lot of people there. Just want to make a note of how cool this tour is. Next weekend at the Mackey Construction, we're going to have folks from the Philippines, New Zealand, Mexico, Guatemala, Thailand, Scotland, Korea, all over the world coming to Abilene, Texas next week to play in this tournament. And so now, Brandon, you're taking the week off. You said you're not playing in the one in Brownwood this week. Kind of what are you doing? Are you taking advantage, working, getting to practice? Kind of what are you doing on your week off, getting ready for next week?
So what I did for taking this week off, I pulled out of the event. I was originally scheduled to play in the event, but I did play in the U.S. Open qualifiers the week prior, and from that event, I was struggling mentally with my game and had a big lack of confidence. And that came from my coach and something that I needed to fix in my swing. I just wasn't feeling good. So I went to go to get a lesson, and during this week, with that lesson that I had, I've been working on my game, practicing, doing the little changes that I did during that lesson, really putting them into work.
So, we talked about the music industry. I don't know what they can tweak, but how hard is it making that adjustment? People always say, don't have a lesson right before a tournament for the amateur because it's going to be weird. How is it making that tweak, making those adjustments from your coach and the lesson that you're kind of going through? How hard is it to get adjusted to the new and the quick fixes?
Well, the good thing about the lesson that I had, it gave me confidence in those feet because it wasn't something that I had as a complete team. It felt like it was converting something that felt natural and actually felt more of I'm in the better positions that I was before. So I wasn't positions that I got stuck in my stance or stuck in my body. But now it's like I feel a little bit more natural. So fit tunes have been a little bit easier than doing bigger changes, I would say. But yes, for an amateur, it's harder to do it before a tournament. But I think, I don't know, we'll see about next week, like how well those pieces will turn out. But I think right now I'm really confident with them.
That's good. So it's good that things are kind of going the right way. And so a couple things about this tournament. Again, next week, 113 professional golfers playing. We've got a couple locals, Sydney Roberts, Ryan Honey, who is ACU golfers getting to play next week. And, of course, Brianna and a slew of other ladies coming to play and have a chance to earn exemptions to the Epson Tours Twin Bridges Championship in New York. And so kind of, Brandon, where do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself? What will be a successful year for Brianna on the WAPT?
So currently, my top goals are that I can get to the Epson Tour, and that luckily the WAPT provides opportunities there, getting me the first and second place in any event you're allowed to get an exemption for the Epson Tour. And so I see myself with the WAPT possibly getting into that second or first place. I was one from the remainder of the tour. We have a couple of events, and we have our championship in Canada. So I see that happening. And then for another successful WAPT, making the top 5 or in the top top 10, somewhere in there. But it's like I said, it's a really hard, tough field. So getting in the top 10 is actually really good in my book. The second year on tour.
Well, and again, I can't stress. Unfortunately, I won't be able to play in this year's pro-am, but when we've played in the pro-am and you go watch, and I can encourage you folks enough, head out to Abilene Country Club on the south side of the Fairway Oaks course. The tournament starts on Wednesday, Wednesday through Saturday, and go watch. What I've said all along, watching y'all, people can hit it down the fairway and those things and hit shots, but y'all being able to get up and down and out of trouble, that's where you get to see the professional, that part of who you and all of your other competitors are, is being able to do that, and shows how good the tour is and just how fine of a line it is from the WAPT to the Epson Tour, and then even the Epson Tour to the LPGA. It's just how thin of a line it is, because golf and the competition is so good. And that's what you said, or one of the things that you meant, Brianna, was the fact that the WAPT gives those opportunities for you to cross those lines.
Right.
It's so anyway, so Brianna, again, we appreciate you taking the time. I know you're early morning. So does the Brownwood tournament end today, or do they go into tomorrow? Nice. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Oh wow, little amateur leading it. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. So, all right. Well, Brandon, again, appreciate you joining us this morning. We look forward to having you in Abilene, Texas next week, and actually hanging out with me and Tracy. So we appreciate. Looking forward to getting to put the phone to a face and actually get to meet. And so we look forward to having you next week. All right, sounds good. Again, Brandon Steger getting ready for the Mackey Construction WAPT Golf Tournament next week again. Pro-Am on Tuesday, kicking everything off on Wednesday. There'll be a junior clinic is on Wednesday at 5:30, and a ladies party on Thursday at 5:30. Come out. It's going to be a great time. Friday, there's going to be a big, exciting party around hole 16. You're going to not want to miss it. So be sure, check out the Mackey Construction Golf Tournament next week. And when we come back, we're going to open up Misty's bag right after this.
There's no denying that when summer hits, there's something
Brianna,
special
thank you so much.
Maybe it's the temperatures rising.
All right. Hey, have a great day, and then I'll holler at you a little bit later maybe today.
There's no better way to beat the heat than with an ice cold beer. So whether you're fishing, floating, or finding your favorite shady spot, do it with the beer that's made for chill. Coors Light, keeping Texas chill. For more, visit keepingtxchill.com. 2023 Coors Brewing
No.
Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
No, you're good. No worries. No worries. All right. I appreciate it. Okay. Have a good one. Bye. Wow, it is hot in here. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between, rocking and rolling in this 7 o'clock hour. We're glad that you're with us this morning again. Don't forget the WAPT Mackey Construction Golf Tournament happening next week. Wednesday kicks off the first round, go through Saturday. Again, junior clinic. If you've got a kiddo, take them to Abilene Country Club on the south side, Fairway Oaks golf course. They'll have a clinic where the pros will be teaching the kids, working on their game. So I encourage you to do that. Of course, the ladies party, a little wine and cheese next Thursday. Both those starting at 5:30 to get the tournament kicks off Wednesday. And so it is time now for one of our favorite segments. Of course, we've got a lot to talk about because we have not seen her in a couple of weeks. But it is time for.
Are y'all scared? It has been a couple weeks without.
Yeah. So you were on vacation, then you had a live PGA Tour golf meeting. You had a meeting that came up.
Yes,
and so,
I got called in. Yeah, called in for a meeting, so couldn't be here last week. But yeah, it's been good. Missed y'all, but did not miss Abilene. Unfortunately, I love Abilene, but love Cabo more probably. But it was great. So
honestly, though, there are places that are great to visit. Could you live in Cabo?
gosh, I don't know.
I mean, they've got to have mortgages there too.
Well, yes, right. Yeah, Adele, I guess, just bought a house, and so they have lots of celebrities that purchase homes there. But I will say, Cabo is not like Cozumel or Cancun, that area. It's very different. They've told us there about 25% of the population in Cabo are residents, Texans, and people from Arizona. So when you walk out the gate off the resort, I mean, you're seeing people just like us. So it felt very much kind of like home, away from home. It was different because Cozumel was not like that at all. But Cabo was, I highly recommend it. It was great. So we had a really great time. So speaking of, trips, it's summertime, all the things. One of the things I did on my trip to Cabo was I got to swim with the dolphins. And that has always been on my bucket list. And so
that sounds like on Just Go With It when he's like, I want to swim with the dolphins. And
I
they get there
love it.
and they get there and the kid can't swim, so they have to teach him how to swim. It's like, you want to swim with the dolphins but you can't swim? That's part of swimming with the dolphins.
Dolphins are just amazing creatures. So got to swim with the dolphins. I was the only adult because it was buy so many get one free. I was the BOGO sale, but I gladly accepted. So it was really great. But so that was on my bucket list. So if you knew you only had 1 week to live, what is the one thing you have to do before you die? Or if you could put something into existence that would happen in that week, you can answer it either way.
Well, I mean, one of my bucket lists, and my people know this, Tracy and others, one of my bucket lists is I want to play Pebble Beach. I want to play golf at Pebble Beach. I want to hit a tee shot on number 7. I want to. That's one of my golf course bucket lists is to play Pebble Beach. So if I knew I had a week to live, I'd be calling somebody and say, hey, I promise, I've got the certificate that says I'm dying in a week. I need a tee time. The only thing that would suck is or stink or whatever you want to call it would be in your week that the weather would be awful. But Pebble Beach is one of my bucket list places, and I would love to go there. Now that may be small for some people with a week left to live, but when I think of bucket list, Pebble Beach is one.
Oh, that's a good one. I figured yours would be golf related.
Well, now, knowing I have a week to live, I may try to see if Augusta National would let me on, but they probably just let me on.
Well, yeah, and it's like, do you do all the things or do you just do one thing? Like, do you chill? I mean, I don't know. Like, we all have an expiration date.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of those things.
Unfortunately, it's not labeled on me, and I don't know when.
No, right. So, but if you knew, because.
Would that wig you out if you did know?
Well, obviously it would.
I don't want to know.
Um,
I do not want to know.
you're in luck. You don't.
Well, I know, but like if I got diagnosed with
Oh,
the
right.
I'm
Well,
saying
even
like
then you
there
don't know
are
because I mean, people all the time they get told like, oh, you got about a year, you got a few
Right.
months, and then they like last twice that long.
like I
you
know I
like
don't want
that.
to.
I mean,
Don't tell me I have a year. Don't tell me.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
For a week.
Yes, no.
well, then you turn into a Tim McGraw song, you know. So,
Yeah.
I'm in the sky.
Or my next 30 years.
Yes, exactly.
Written by Phil Vassar. Congratulations. Josh, what would
I
be
don't
your
have
bucket?
I don't have a bucket list. Like, I mean, there's stuff I think would be cool, but there's nothing that I'm just like, man, if I could accomplish this or do that, you know, it'd be like that would be awesome. You know, like here's the thing. There are things that, no offense, Hodge, there are things that I would say like I would like to go like hunting in Africa or something like that. But that seems like very selfish, and I'm about to die. So why would I want to do something selfish? I'd want to like take care of other people and you know like spend time with friends and family and just like make sure that everyone knew that I loved them. So I mean, that's like, I'm not gonna
Now
wait.
we're
I'm not gonna
selfish.
waste. I'm not gonna waste my time. Like I got a week to live. I can't go play golf.
I'm gonna take
Well-
my people with me.
Yeah.
You can only take 3 people with you. You got more friends than that.
Well, no, I'm gonna like charter a plane and we're going to like Bora
Well,
Bora or something.
but when I think of bucket list, now taking that out, and Josh made a very good point, of the people we love.
Oh, way to crush it. Jeez.
Oh, I mean,
This is Josh's Hallmark channel, brought to you by, oh, he saved the day. But no, that would be what you'd want to do. You'd want to hang out with people. But there would be a day that I think if you're talking bucket list, because I think when people think of bucket list, it involves a trip
Yes.
or an experience
well, and
of
that's
some
right.
sort.
I get that, but like if you ask what. Now, see, you framed it that way, and you made it where it was like more emotional. So I'd be like, well, if I was really just going to have a week's live, I'm not going to do anything.
Or you
But
could
spend
put
time with
something
people.
into existence.
But-
like the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl this week. So we're going to be on the
Well,
field.
I mean,
we have
I
field
guess-
access. All of my friends are coming. I'm throwing
I
all my
guess that
money
you
out
could
there
have
'cause
some
I don't
very
need it.
you could have some very good memories made with your kids and with your
Yeah, like,
your family.
It's a big
You know, so
going
like
away
yeah,
party.
that I mean that would be great.
I'm surprised
but-
you don't have a bucket list.
Well, I mean, I've got things that I want to do, but you know, like this way you framed it. If you're like, hey, well, you know, what are there any kind of big things you'd like to do between now and when you die? And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I do want
Which
to
is
go
the bucket
to
list.
I do want to go to
Right.
Africa, but if you say I have a week left, I'm not spending a week in Africa. You know, like, and I want to go to Alaska. Those are like 2 of the things that I would really like to do, and I want to go dove hunting in Argentina because I see the videos of people just like shooting a ton of dove, and that
Yeah,
seems like it'd be fun.
apparently.
You know, but so I mean, there are things like that. But if the way you framed it, you know,
We'll take the emotional side out of it.
All right, so those are 3 bucket lists.
I mean,
You would
then
do-
I would
you would
go.
wanna do.
I would go on a exotic hunting trip of some sort. If I was really just like,
You
know,
had to pick
like,
one of those things.
Yeah, you have to pick
Yeah.
something.
So what are you doing?
I seriously think that I would just send a text out to my core group of friends and family, and I think we're going to like Bora
So we're not
Bora.
getting that text.
I can't even get y'all to come to my Christmas party, so whatever.
That was 7 months ago. You're still griping.
Yes, but it's coming up. It's coming
Now
up.
it's closer than it was. but-
Exactly.
We would find out about Misty's week to live and party from
In her
social
obituary.
media.
Yeah,
Yes,
like, I didn't
absolutely.
even know she died.
Yeah,
Right,
you
didn't I?
would. And I would call up all of them, and it would be if I had enough money, I would be like, here, we're all going
Well,
on
if you got
my
a Jimmy
dime.
lamp with all this, you can just make the money.
That's
You-
what I'm
you just
saying.
wish it into existence.
I'll pay for everybody to party with me because they'll be crying because obviously I'm gonna be gone.
Right.
And so I don't know. I think that's what I would do. And we would stay in one of those huts on the water. It's like
Oh,
$3
it has
grand
a
a
glass
night.
floor.
Yeah, it's like $3
Yeah.
grand a night. No big deal.
Hey, you're worth it.
No bigs. Thank you.
You are.
That
worth
is really
it.
pretty. Like
Wouldn't that be great to
you
just
go to Fiji
I
and
would
like
be
the,
cur- I'd
the
be
white
curious.
sand that goes off and you go off and yeah.
Bora Bora is on my bucket list. But with all of my people, I think that would just be amazing. I want to be surrounded by the people that love me the most and the people that I love the most. in
What if
this
that's not
world.
the same person? That'd be weird.
Hopefully it is. Yeah, you're right. Maybe people that love me like I love them.
It's like,
That would honestly be one of the worst things. You book a,
Yeah,
you
you can-
charter a plane and get on, think everybody's getting.
There's
Oh,
like 2 people.
I was busy, couldn't make it.
It's Clay Collins and Ethan. That's it.
Clay, you did send the invite out, right? You did send the invite out. Again, that is Misty's Bag, brought to you by Mulligan's. again, shout out to them and all that they do. Head over to Ben Ritchie if you want to work in a game or if you just want to have some great food and hang out with folks. Head over to Ben Ritchie Drive for Mulligan's. Again, that is Misty's Bag. Curious, as we go to break, do you have a bucket list? Tweet us at the Hodge Pack, or if you're watching online at our YouTube channel or Facebook Live, do you have a bucket list? What does that involve for you? When we come back, college football was in the news this week for SEC schedules. And also, one of my pet peeves happened this week, and it comes with a lot of baggage and a buyout that should happen. We'll be back right after this.
It is like it got even hotter. I think
There's more sun shining in, I think.
it is like lava project season. My goodness.
Hear what?
What do what? I don't think she needs to repeat it. Yeah, it's like, I've never heard that before. That was weird.
I said it's like lava crunch season.
I thought I heard crunch.
Yeah, it's like something fierce happening. It's a little spicy.
we kind of see those two teams, the top two, getting into the playoffs.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. That is Matt Berry and Paul Feinbaum talking about, again, we mention all the time that the NFL is never an off season. It's always it's always in some type of season. And the SEC is kind of the NFL of college football. And this past week they announced, of course, in 2024, Texas and OU are going to be coming. We'll get to my pet peeve in a moment of the other news in college football this week. But Josh, we've got a lot of things that are happening with this addition of Texas and OU and Misty. We're getting some games that will be very similar to what we see in the NFL of great regular season games. And by this time, we should have the expansion of the NFL, of the college football playoff, so you can have these big games. Like for only the fifth time in the past 20 years that Georgia and Alabama, you heard them talking about going to an 8-game slate where they're playing 8 folks in the SEC. But there's a lot of games that they're going to be really good, and it's going to be like KC and Buffalo playing each other, KC and Cincinnati. We're going to get that, and that's why I think, and I've said it all along, the expansion of the playoffs makes the regular season more exciting, and you can lose a game and it not cost you.
No, it does, and I mean, I think that is a good thing. We'll have to see how it all plays out, because I do sometimes tire of, not that the SEC is not good, but I do think that there should be something to winning your conference, winning regular season games, and if we end up with expanded playoffs that include multiple, not two, I wouldn't be terribly upset with 2, but multiple SEC teams, I'm going to be a little bit soured by that.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they decide to divvy all that up. But just some of those games, you start thinking about Georgia, Alabama. I'm hoping, I know this, again, I can say this because I'm not from a Power 5 school, but like if you look at the SEC and for college football, you may not want to hear this, but it's good for college football if Texas and Oklahoma.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is.
Exactly.
Now, it's not good for Red Raiders and it's not good for Baylor Bears and all that, but it's good for college football if Texas and OU are good. I'm really hoping, again, I could say this and Zane made Texas at a moment. I'm hoping from a Clemson fan that Venables and OU are better this year, but it's going to be very similar to the Astros coming into the season post trash can gate and going on the road and getting all the signs and all that stuff. Josh, this is the last year. Misty, this is the last year of Texas and OU in the Big 12. What do you think it's going to be like for on the road for them, especially in football?
Well, I mean,
I think it's going to be escalated more than even normal Texas coming to Lubbock or Texas going to Waco. If Texas and OU, it's going to be probably worse for Texas because that's the way everybody feels about Texas. But I think this year, if I'm the SEC, I hope they do well. If I'm OU in Texas, I hope we do well. So I say, hey, no, we are still good coming to your great conference.
Right. We're still relevant.
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure on that because they
on the two coming in.
Right. Well, because they're not really coming in at their normal full strength level that you think of with those programs. They so OU has not been terrible. Texas has had some problems, obviously, but if you're just going to roll over to the SEC just to be a doormat, that's not. And we'll see how that plays out because that'll also kind of tell us a little bit about where that strength is because you always hear the SEC is so much better than all the other conferences, and like if they truly are, then you're going to see Texas and Oklahoma have a hard time even winning games. So we'll. I mean, it's obviously a long play drama because it's 2 years or 2 seasons away. But it'll be interesting to watch it play out. But if they limp through the Big 12 this year, that's obviously bad for the PR on everybody. Because the Big 12 is recruiting people. There's more schools coming to the Big 12. So it's like, at first everyone thought Oklahoma and Texas leaving was going to crush it and end it, but it's kind of
But the other thing
we'll just get somebody else.
The new guys in the Big 12 are playing this year.
Right.
So you're getting to see your new girlfriend, if you will, that's coming in. You're getting to see the new coworker or whatever. Yeah, the new guys are coming in this year, and they have to deal with not only, 4 new ones that are coming in, and 4 new ones that are coming in that have great fan bases. Houston's been successful. Cincinnati's been successful. BYU's got a big fan base, and then UCF is no slouch either. So I think it's going to be a very interesting 2023 season to set you up knowing what's coming in 2024. And probably the biggest game that's going to be coming back is something that hadn't happened since 2011, and that's Texas and Texas A&M. The fact that those 2 schools in the last 12 years never found a way to bring that game back in some form or fashion still blows my mind.
Yeah, that is really crazy.
I don't know what the politics was behind it, but obviously there was a fan base clamoring for that to happen on both sides, but there was something bigger behind the scenes that made it not happen because it made too much sense to just schedule a non-conference game.
And it's a different level. But when Abilene Cooper dropped and Abilene High stayed, there was no way AISD was not going to have that game.
Right.
Because even at the high school level, I bet when Abilene High and Cooper played,
well, that's a budget changer.
It's a game changer. Pun intended.
The tickets that are sold, the rivalry, and all those things that come with Abilene High Cooper game, it is big. And now you're seeing it, the new one. For the longest time, it made sense maybe why Wiley and Cooper didn't play, but it would make 0 sense not to have the Abilene High Cooper. And so we're going to have the Texas A&M game again. The other news this week, and my pet peeve, Josh, one of my biggest pet peeves is when it comes to Hall of Fames. When Hall of Fames happen, and in most sports it's 5 years, and then you can get in.
Mm-hmm.
Certain criteria to golf, you got to win so many, and you're in. You got to hit an age so long and you're in. This past week, Texas Tech made a decision as they announced their Hall of Honor. Of course, the Ring of Honor in Dallas has been a lot talked about, how Jerry Jones is not Jerry Jones. Jimmy Johnson's still not in the Ring of Honor. But this past week, the Texas Tech Red Raiders announced their Hall. One of them is Cliff Kingsbury. People on Twitter are not sometimes very bright. They're like 35 and 40. How do you get in or 35 and 50? How are you going in? You're terrible. I'm like, guys, he's not going in as a coach.
Yeah.
He was a very successful quarterback at Texas Tech.
He was the first,
he is the first air raid guy that started all this, and is a Super Bowl champion because he was on the Patriots as backup. So Cliff Kingsbury's going in. But the other one that's going in, and probably Josh sent the text before I had seen it on social media, they're bringing and putting in Mike Leach. Mike Leach was fired very controversially a number of years ago. Everywhere he's been, he was successful at Tech, BYU, when he was a OC, Oklahoma, Tech, Washington State, Mississippi State. Everywhere he was, he's been successful. The reason I have a hard time with it, Mike Leach has passed away. It always upsets me when they put somebody in that should have been in a long time ago, and they pass away. And now you've got to have a family member accept that Hall of Fame induction.
Well, that is. I understand what you're saying in general, because that is very, especially when it's a player or a coach, but someone that's been always thought it was kind of borderline. Will they make it to the Hall of Fame? Will they not? And then they pass away, and that might even add some publicity. Just we get some on their mind, and then people are like, oh yeah, he really should be in the Hall of Fame. And I felt like that is sad. You see that with major league players and NFL players not I say all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. But in this situation, I have a problem with it. But that's not my problem, because you couldn't put him in a Hall of Fame while he was actively coaching for another team. You'd have to wait till he retired. So, and then dying tragically,
Right.
In the
Yeah,
in
nobody
your
knew that was
career.
going to happen.
So I don't fault them for that. But I have some. I saw that and I thought, seems like just a cheap PR move because yes, he put Texas Tech on the map across the entire universe. Like his adaptations of running that offense and the way that he did so, and the quirkiness of how he did it and everything else truly did change college football. It changed high school football in Texas when everyone started doing that, and then every quarterback in the nation basically came from some school in Texas. If you just looked around all the college teams, it's like their quarterback came from Texas, and it was because all of what Mike Leach did. Mike Leach deserves to be in whatever Hall of Fame that, and I know that he didn't quite have enough wins to qualify for the College Football Hall of Fame.
Short, but I bet he gets
and that obviously he would have gotten there had he not tragically passed away. It's not like he retired or something like that.
Or had a controversial thing
right.
happen.
Yeah.
And so I think he deserves whatever Hall of Fame place that you can put in football because he truly was monumental in changing the way football was played. And made Texas Tech relevant. And so on that side, yes, he deserves to be in there. But you have to remember going back and looking at like the way that transpired was being fired for a mishandling of an athlete that was controversial in of itself. It was not the worst thing that has ever happened. And not just did they fire him, they refused to pay his contract out.
And
which
I'm looking at it now. They never reconciled a legal campaign to recover $2.5 million. He said the school owed him.
Right, and so and the school, basically refused to do that. It never got resolved. There are some that say that like if they're going to put him in the Hall of Fame, they should pay his family his contract, because they just never did it.
And that's my question. Again, Kingsbury going in again. He broke. He had.
He's a Hall of Fame Texas Tech quarterback.
17 FBS records, 16 Big 12 marks, 39 school records, while throwing more than 12,000 yards as the Red Raider quarterback. My question is, how awkward is it going to be, or would it be?
Well, still, it's very awkward
to bring his family to still go there and be a part of this ceremony.
Exactly as you mentioned, people tweeting like he was a terrible coach. Why are you putting him in? There are
people questioning it all.
It's like this we've talked about with like there's sports announcers or John Madden. That there's certain people that their point of reference of that guy was John Madden was a video game. There's some that John Madden is a sportscaster. There's some that John Madden was a football coach and a good one. And so depending on where you were in time and place, there are a bunch of Tech fans that Cliff Kingsbury was just a bad football coach.
Right.
And not, you have to be a little bit older to get back to remember what, like actually see, because you basically would have to be our age to really remember him as a player.
And had a small, brief cup of coffee in the NFL.
Right. And so to get fired as the football coach, but then brought back and honored as the player, that is an awkward situation.
Right. Well, in his defense, Kingsbury had a couple good years, nothing fantastic, but his biggest thing right now is he did help coach a two-time Super Bowl champion quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely.
And helped win a Heisman for Johnny Manziel. Baker Mayfield at one point was under him, so he could recruit quarterbacks. That wasn't any doubt. So,
and he'll find a job doing something.
Well, he's with USC.
Well, I know, but like he'll get to the point where he's OC or quarterback coach at a high level.
Right. And so, anyway, a lot of college football news. When we come back, we're going to go into the thought process of Josh and knowing is half the battle. Right after this.
Technology is making everything smarter. Click your touchscreen page and collaborate.
If Mike Leach would have
Well, welcome back to the Hodge Pack as we keep rocking and rolling here on 106.9 The Country Giant. Brought to you by Lida Landing Cattle. Our guests appear on our Pest Control phone line, and we are hanging out in the Potosi Live studio, rocking and rolling. We're glad that you're with us. We were talking, again, Mike Leach, Jimmy Johnson, very similar in the Ring of Honor. And actually this year, continue that thought, Jerry Jones said nobody's getting in this year. They're not going to honor anybody in the Ring of Honor at AT&T. So no new Cowboys will go up in the Ring of Honor, which means no Jimmy Johnson again. So anyway, it is time where we explore and allow Josh to educate us a little bit.
And knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. And what I need to maybe know something this morning because there's something that I can't figure out. I would wonder if this has ever been of benefit to y'all because I can honestly say I don't think it has ever been of benefit to me. But you see it all the time. And that is like, all right, let's say you're in a parking lot and there's a truck from a utility company, a service truck of some type, like the cable guy, that type of thing. And they put a orange cone by their pickup. Have y'all ever seen this?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, what? It's not like, oh, I was going to hit that truck, but I saw that orange cone. Like.
Well, I mean, it's a safety thing.
I know it's a safety thing.
I don't know if that's if it's OSHA safety regulation.
I'm sure it's regulated
or if
because
it's
they
just
all
company.
do it.
Well, there's some companies now where when they park, they have to back in. They can't park normal. Like they got.
I'm a back-end parker anyway.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah, they have to do that. But go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no,
I like
I mean,
to back in too.
like the whole like process of like, all right, I stopped the truck. I guess where I need the education is I need someone to explain to me what exactly that is supposed to prevent. Now, I mean,
The orange cone, or
Yeah.
just the whole setup.
orange cone, or like when you like, let's say you're at I don't know, Lowe's, Home Depot, one of those type of things, and they get there, they need to bring the forklift to get something off the top shelf, so they come over there and they slap an orange cone down on each side. Like, I'm gonna run into the forklift, but now I saw this orange cone, so I'm not walking any further. Like, I just don't get it. Like, who needs that orange cone there?
I think it's my assumption is, and I could in a break or as we continue, I can text our safety guy.
Yeah, where's the safety officer on this? What is it supposed to prevent?
I think it's probably. I'm not saying it's like the police yellow tape, but I think it's one of those. And don't get me wrong. And it's funny you brought that up, and I'll bring that to the table in a moment. But I think it's just one of those. One, it's kind of like the piso floor, the yellow sign that you see, that the yellow sign, wet floor.
Yeah,
to let everybody know that if the floor is wet, if you fall, it's not on us. Don't get me wrong, Josh. You should see a forklift, you should see a utility car or whatever, and not run into it. And there's a chance that cone may stop you dead in your tracks before you hit it. But I think it's one of those, not checking a box, but I think that's what I think it's just part of the procedure, if you will. Like our guys supposed to check your truck, everything, make sure you're all good before you get in it,
right,
and head off.
And
for
that
the
is
day.
the only thing that I could think about is what the cone might actually benefit is if you put the cone behind your truck, or and you got to go pick that up, you are actively forced to see if there's somebody parked behind you that you don't then just ram into. I mean, I don't know. Right.
I noticed the cone. This is gonna, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh. I feel like I noticed the cone before the truck.
All right, we found the reason.
I'm
Misty
like,
will
oh
run
my
into
gosh,
the
look,
forklift if
there's
she
the-
doesn't see the cone.
Well, not necessarily run into it. I'm like, oh, okay. But I do go, oh, well, there's the cone. Oh, look, it's a cable guy or something or whatever. So I do feel like, honestly, this is gonna make me sound like an idiot, but I do notice the cone.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna hit it either way. I don't think if the cone's there or not. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But I do notice. I'm like, oh, look, there's the cone right there.
Yeah, and I mean, in the wet floor sign, I get that. You don't always notice the floor is wet, and sometimes if you're just walking at normal speed and you hit the wet, it's suddenly slick. So I get that.
Oh, I have definitely done that in an airport, and it was like in front of a Starbucks and all the trash. So I literally fell in like coffee juice. Like everybody's.
Have you?
Oh,
Have you ever done that? Have you ever fallen? I had that happen to me in Walmart.
Just busted.
And then I'm like, I literally walking along and land
yeah.
on my back.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, what happened?
Yes.
So I get up, and of course, people are rushing over because they're afraid you're going to do something that you need a lawyer for. And I look, and I kid you not, I felt like O'Doyle rules.
You step on a banana peel?
There was a no. It gets better, Josh. It was a piece of a pickle about that big. Took me down like Lawrence Taylor.
Dang!
True story. Walking along, everything's fine. Produce is over here, stuff's there. I'm just walking to check out whatever. Boom,
Pickle.
bam, pickle took me out.
See, the coffee juice got me, and it was disgusting because and there's a whole line because it's right there by Starbucks. So Clay and I are walking. I think we were walking to the restroom, and what I did is I looked and I go, oh my gosh, look at this long Starbucks line. And then boom, Misty goes down in front of everybody. And yeah, it was super embarrassing. But it was the trash, like juice coming out. It
trash
was
juice.
It
gets worse.
But what's funny?
I did slip on a banana peel once. I felt like this is like Mario Kart. And I was like, I was walking with stuff in my hands and I did not see it and I slipped. I did not fall down, but I dropped things.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was that? And I turned around and was like, a banana peel? I literally
not fumbled
on a bobblehead. I slipped on a banana peel. I was like, that is just, I didn't know that actually happened.
How about people that can fall and they have a beer in their hand and they save the beer? It's like the craziest thing.
Well, it's like the fans that catch a foul ball and they're either they have a beverage in their hand or their kid.
Yes.
They're like the kids here and they catch the ball here. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive.
But you mentioned the cones. Did y'all notice anything on your way up here today?
They were cones. I did actually, right by the elevator.
Yes. It's funny because I was thinking about that, and then you get here, and the lift is parked in the lobby.
But I noticed
with cones on it,
and
I was like, why would you need the cones? You're not going to run into that.
She might. What's funny when I saw that, it's almost like it reminded me of Austin Powers when he's driving the golf cart.
Yeah,
back before you
get that out of there.
And so it's almost like somebody was driving it, and maybe they're union workers, I don't know. But like it hit 5 o'clock, I'm out, parking it right here.
Parked.
See,
I'm
right
throw
here.
the cone down, I'm done.
Yeah, see, I'm out, peace.
See, and I thought, oh my gosh, once again, I'm going to have to be fearful of my life to get to the 8th floor. So I'm thinking, which one of these is out of service? And surely there was one out of service.
Now they have a lift to get to the 2nd floor. I don't know what's going on there.
But I did notice the cone.
So when we leave today, we're going to kind of examine that because it's almost like, in their defense, there's not a lot of places that you park down.
It is in the corner.
Yeah,
It's like in the corner, kind of.
Kind of.
But if it was playing hide and seek, it has no chance.
No, it's huge.
But with the cone there, they may not be found. And so
I almost didn't see it.
Take the cone.
If it wasn't for the cone, I would not have seen it.
And the other thing with cones, like especially if you have like parking lots, they sit out the cones, like don't go this way, and then people just run over the cones, like obviously doesn't stop them.
Well, I have run over cones before.
Because you were too important to have to go in line, so you cut. Okay. At least you admit if you're too important to wait in line.
Well, I will say, it is.
I'm above all y'all dweebs. I'm cutting.
Well, I've said all along, you should not encourage your kids to be doctors or lawyers. Be orange cone salesmen or own the company that has the orange cones, because that is as good of job security as teachers or anything else. They're everywhere and not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah,
so grow up to be an orange cone salesman, because if you do, then you will be able to say.
And I want someone to tell me what the actual reason is.
I've got it. We'll send it out if you've got it. Again, at the Hodge Pack on Twitter. Send it to us on our Facebook, as well as Shopify tries to play over the air. When we come back, we'll start looking at who owns number 93 as we bring back got your number right after this.
It's got to be more for the employee. Like, I'm going to put this cone out so you can go around your truck. It's got to be something with the.
Yeah, I know that obviously.
Let us know again. The U.S. Open happening out in L.A. Not quite teeing off yet. Only 6:30 out there, but again, early on. Ricky Fowler and Xander Schauffele at 8 under, leading the U.S. Open, followed by Wyndham Clark at 6 under, along with DJ Dustin Johnson. Again, Bryson DeChambeau actually played well yesterday as well, but Brian Harmon and Rory at 5 under. So we'll see if those folks, some of those favorites, Scotty Scheffler, one of those, is at 3 under. We'll see if some of those 8 unders come back to reality and kind of see what happens there. Both Xander and Ricky, two people that or in that group of best players to never win a major, and so looking for their first in LA. So, Josh, again, the NBA Finals last week, Denver winning, and in that, as the finals came to an end, also with that was Mike Greenberg, who's been covering the ESPN, the NBA Finals on the road, the NBA Countdown, and all the coverage. So he's been off the air with Get Up and all that. Came back, and so thought got your number. We didn't do it last week, and so Josh, with your random search, came up with 93. 93.
Is there a reason for that?
I put it in the random number generator.
Okay.
And we got 93, and when that popped up, I was like, all right, I hadn't read that yet. But in my mind, I was like, this has to be some sort of random accomplishment or something, because I could not think of a single number 93. There were some decent football players that were 93, but there's none like top of the top. So,
well, and Josh, you're exactly right, and it comes down to this. That is John Paxson's most famous shot that he ever made in the 1993 NBA Finals. Again, great number, great timing as the NBA Finals of 2023 have come to an end with the Denver Nuggets winning their first championship. That shot was not the first championship for the Chicago Bulls. It was number 3, and John Paxson hitting that. And so, Josh, what was your thoughts on kind of where you came?
Oh yeah, when I read, it's like, I obviously didn't just like think, oh, that's a date, 1993. That's the three-peat Bulls, but that's what it was. And as we kind of talked about when we read through this book, some of them are pretty clever with how they come up with what you do with some of these numbers that are not necessarily a uniform number, that because there's just either not someone that wears that number, or there's some other non-numbered athlete that needs to be in that place. So the book is clever in that way, but that is the height, I guess, of the Bulls dynasty. That was kind of they didn't go off the cliff afterwards, but Jordan did retire soon after that.
Took 2 years off.
So they that was the pinnacle of like Michael Mania, and everyone had the swoosh shirts and the Jordans, and that's the
Be Like Mine.
Yes, so he was on everything. Shortly thereafter, they made the movie Space Jam,
Right.
which is a true classic film. So there's just a lot, I guess, that peaked with that with those Bulls. And
and again, this is the third time, I believe, and I'm still reading through it, that Jordan or the Bulls have been involved, which makes sense. One, he's the greatest of all time. Two, a little background. Mike Greenberg went to college at Northwestern, which is there in Illinois, and one of his first jobs was there in Chicago covering the Bulls. So he literally was
right there
going through this career, if you will, of Michael Jordan with a very close connection to it. So it makes sense to me when you look at it that 93 is it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think that any of us are going to debate it, but I did come up with some other things regarding what happened in 1993.
Okay.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
Are y'all ready? This is just a little fun thing for y'all. Whoop, There It Is was released. Still relevant to today.
Especially with the commercials.
I mean, yeah. Dazed and Confused was released.
A lot of guys that went on to be amazing actors in that movie.
Absolutely.
Including Rip.
Yes, you're right. A good one for us. The haters are going to hate. Dak Prescott was born. And Beanie Babies were introduced into the world.
Which were a big deal if
Yeah.
you try to get the right one.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, supposedly they're going to be worth thousands of dollars. I don't know if they are. I've not checked that market.
And my husband, Clay Collier, won 11 out of 12 track races in 1993 as a ninth grader and had the record in Tuscola for some time. So he may be on the wall somewhere.
Did Himbo and Greeny not check into that? He might have owned 93.
I know, but so in my world, Clay Collier owns 93.
There you go. Clay Collier owns it. But I will say a couple of notes from that 93 season, because again, the first 3 championships that Jordan won, they beat the Lakers, they beat the Trailblazers with Clyde Drexler, and then Charles Barkley, who the MVP of the league was, Charles, that year. Again, escaping and not being able to get the ring. But I thought was interesting in the book, one, Jordan never saw a game 7. Number 2, those 3 points that Paxson scored were the only 3 that the Bulls scored that Jordan didn't. Like, Jordan scored all the other points in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
The only ones he didn't were the big 3 that John Paxson did. And so, again, I go back to 93, and Josh, you mentioned it, the height of theirs. We were fortunate enough to get 3 more years out of Jordan, 3 more championships. Not 3 more years, but 3 more championships out of Jordan when he took that break. I've said all along, it's kind of like Danny Willett should send a thank you card to Jordan Spieth every year for going in the water and winning the Masters that year. I think Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler and the Houston Rockets, how good would those series have been if, A, would they have won a championship, but 2, if the Rockets and the Bulls would have played those 2 years, again, one of those sports what ifs, if because again.
Yeah, it is funny to think about, like, that. The Rockets were very good, and
I miss that era of basketball.
But that how that could have been different, and how many could Jordan have won if he didn't take those breaks? Would he added another 1 or 2, or were the Rockets good enough that they finally beat the Bulls in a championship? So I don't know.
And you think about Jordan, and again, I understand completely why he's all throughout this book. But Jordan literally, not single-handedly, but the Bulls kept some amazing top 50 players of all time from winning championships. Not the first one, because Magic already won one.
Yeah.
Not the second one, because Clyde Drexler ended up winning one with the Rockets. And then the third one, Charles Barkley. And then the next one, the first team that they played on the back wraparound is what now Oklahoma City Thunder, was Seattle Supersonics.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Sean Kemp, who is known for the dunking, and Gary Payton, the glove. The next 2, Stockton and Malone.
I know that's the ones that I think of the most. How good those Utah teams were, that never could get through.
Right. And they couldn't get it done because of Jordan and the Bulls and Phil Jackson. So very, very cool. Again, I enjoyed that, like you mentioned, Misty, that era of basketball. And in that same time frame, the Cowboys were winning.
Yeah.
The Bulls were there.
We were living our best life around that time.
Hopefully, we're going to see that coming to fruition again. Maybe not with the Bulls, but maybe the Cowboys back. When we come back, you're going to get your own Misty's bag.
You're going to give me an air conditioner.
Yes, that is happening, Josh. When we come back, I've got a random question for y'all.
Oh, Lord.
And it's going to be pretty funny. We'll be back right after this.
He's got shoes on.
I mean, I can't do it. Yeah, I'm about to.
can't.
That was my ringtone one time. Remember when you could have those I guess you can still do that.
It's just that you're old.
Yeah, when you had the random like in your face or somebody had a song,
Songs. Yeah.
and then the other was instead of it ringing, the song would play in your ear, almost like hold music.
Yeah, the ringbacks.
Yeah.
I did like the ringbacks.
Well, here's what I remember. I was in a position where I was like hiring people at the time, so I had to like go through applications. And if I called you and it started playing me a song, I hung up the phone. Like out.
So rude. I would just keep calling you. I would have been like, Josh.
Do you think the company that came up with hold music gets any kind of money? Because like it seems like there's like
5
there's
top
multiple companies that have the same on hold music.
But these people are like barely making it by, and they're paying for ringbacks.
Okay,
on the
that's
phone.
fair.
Yeah,
There you go. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. Welcome back to 1993. Not really, but 93 when Clay Collier was owning the track world, along with Michael Jordan, winning his third NBA final championship and third NBA final MVP. All right, so I told you when we were going to break, I was going to kind of have my own random question because I thought of this yesterday. No, Thursday.
Deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts with Hodge.
Deep thoughts with Hodge, which means you better hold on to your coffee. It was Wednesday because
Now you can't even remember what day.
No, it was
what day
Wednesday.
is it today?
it was Wednesday. No, it was Wednesday because I was going to get I'd already bought our anniversary gift. Tracy and I had our 15th wedding anniversary
Yes,
on.
congrats.
Thank you. Our wedding anniversary, Flag Day, and Trump's birthday all wrapped into one.
What a day to celebrate.
Oh,
All the
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Love it.
And so I went to this place to get a card to go to gift.
What did you get her?
A
Can you
bracelet.
say it?
Yeah, I got her a bracelet.
Okay, I was
He
like,
said,
I was like,
No, I got her a bracelet.
nice. Okay, a nice bracelet.
Yeah.
Or like friendship or.
No, we're
He
married.
made it out of strings at camp.
Yeah.
I love a good homemade item.
Yeah, you don't want me, man. But anyway, so where I was, this guy was getting in his car. Stay with me. And he had this
I'm sure.
this Brazilian jiu-jitsu bag.
Okay.
And my bag, like he was getting it out of his car, and
Like-
I think the dojo may have been there.
Like a
nearby.
tote
Dojo.
bag or like a punching bag?
No, like a bag, like I'm going to work out.
Oh, okay, a gym bag.
And so-
Okay.
Gym bag.
This is the
Setting
thought
the
that
scene.
this is the thought that came in my head. Like, what would happen if you went up to act like you're going to mess with him, and then all of a sudden, would he judo chop you right from the get-go?
I think so.
Like, have you ever had those moments like, what would happen here? And so that
Yeah.
was my, what would happen if I just kind of went up and said, like, would he be startled with a tap? Or like, if you just went, huh? Would he, like, what would he do?
Like right to the
like-
gut?
Yeah,
Karate
like, if
chop
I
somebody
judo
in the
chopped you, would he, you know, like,
Judo
because like in Karate Kid or Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
you know, Daniel's son and Mr. Miyagi taught that Miyagi-Do was only, you weren't to fight, it wasn't to be violent, it was only for honor and all those things. Would he, I just went up and said, hey, yeah, you know, just real quick,
I think
Would
he
he a
would have
roundhouse-
taken you down.
oh, no, there's no doubt, he could, his kid probably did that. But I'm saying, that thought came to my mind, like, would you ever even attempt to mess with, it goes back to the difficulty of the list last week, what the restraint would be, and would he like totally take me out, like again on the Karate Kid where he's about to take him out, or would he actually just roundhouse him?
I mean, I have no idea what this guy is capable of or what his point of reference is.
But you know what I'm
if so-
capable of.
Right.
If some random dude just came up and karate chopped me, I would like what? You know, like
If it
depending on
didn't
how
hurt, I
depending
would
on how
probably
bad
start
how
laughing.
bad it hurt, and then
Yeah.
you know,
But I
It's
think
like super awkward.
that's my
like
point.
why did you do that?
Like, I'd be like,
Ow!
hey, like I may
Yeah.
give him a little slap back.
Hey,
I don't know.
or- But like, that's my point. First of all, I'm sure if I went, hiya, he would probably first look like, Is that a mosquito? Did a
What?
mosquito just land on my arm or my hand or side?
Hey, I don't know. It could be that guy's first day at the gym too. He might like just ran away.
Maybe
From
you're.
this,
Yeah.
ain't nobody running away from
Well,
me.
you don't know that.
That is true.
That's true.
That is true.
Can we please get him on the show?
Well, I'm going to have to go back to that.
Just go sit in the
Plays.
parking lot,
Yeah.
stop
Hey,
and
we
play.
can get Chip on the show. Team Chip. We'll ask them.
I bet that's a true question. Like I've got Bobby Garcia. He's
I'm
a
just
friend of mine.
worried that you thought about judo trying
it's-
someone.
No, but
Oh no, I've had plenty of random thoughts of like I should do, not necessarily just to random people, but like, I mean, I used to succumb to the temptation often to like throw something random at somebody and like, even as a grown adult and like meetings, I've shot spitwads at people. I mean,
Oh,
I
But-
get
But
bored.
yours
I
are more
get
of
bored
like a
sometimes.
prank.
Yeah.
yeah, but like
Have
talking
you
to
ever
somebody-
twisted two staples together and sat it in someone's chair?
No,
That's a great one. I'll teach you.
that sounds
Oh,
terrible.
yeah, I am not ever
It
willing to
does.
work for your mate.
It doesn't poke you like it doesn't like.
Not hard or
No. If you twist it up enough, it's just enough that you like sit on it and like, what is that? But it doesn't. It
But,
doesn't
like,
like
as long
stick
as
in
it
the-
doesn't
Well,
It
puncture
doesn't
me.
stick in the
My,
skin.
my, my
Yeah.
point of all that conversation of like just this random
I
thought.
don't know, I thought
One,
staples hadn't done that in a
A
while.
couple things that I thought of because I don't think we're gonna make this a segment every week, but is like when you come to a stop sign, like you're about to get some weird Hodgeonics right here in Hodge. It's like when you get to that stop sign, sometimes I'll think to myself, I don't do it, mom and dad are watching. Like, what if I just went without looking? Like, could I just go blind? And then I'll look, nope, that car would have hit me.
I've seen plenty of people that just drive like that. so
Yeah, I don't
maybe-
do that. But the other is, have you ever been in a conversation, and maybe you feel this way right now? They're talking, and the only thing that you can think of is, what would happen if I just walked away right now mid-sentence, or hit you in the head?
No, I think at work, like, or if there's something getting heated, I will think of like the conversation I'm going to have with that person if they approach me. Like, do y'all ever do that? Like, I am not the one today. Don't approach me. Like, don't come at me because
But
it's
do,
not going to
do
be
you
good.
think that humans,
I think everybody thinks
Humans?
these things.
no, like how we have in some studios they have it on air. Do you think that we should be built in with a sign or a look that says "wrap it up"? Because there's always people, and I'm sure people feel that way sometimes when I'm talking.
Oh, you think?
But
If I say three times, babe, wrap it up. That's my cue. If I'm like, oh,
I often
Yeah.
am having conversations with people where I'm thinking like while they're talking, I have no idea what they're talking about.
same.
I'm tired of this conversation.
Yeah.
And am I looking like I'm as tired of this conversation as I am?
What is
Like,
my
I need to
face
fix
telling
my
you?
face.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is my face telling you?
Yeah.
I do. I feel that on
Yes,
repeat.
I think so.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'm
that
gonna
was
go shower. Thanks, Hodge.
yeah. You're welcome. We appreciate it. There has been a report for man down, aka his name is AC.
It's
Yeah,
hot.
It is hot,
spicy.
and so
I'll
it's gonna
take
be hot
it.
this weekend. But hey, you got a chance to enjoy Summer Jam again. Last night, Giovanni and Hard Guns kicked it off last night. Tonight, Who's Your Daddy comedy show. Tomorrow night, Wade Bowen. Great lineup. Go check it out. Get your tickets. Have a great weekend. Hey, happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. Josh, happy Father's Day.
Yes, happy
Dad,
Father's
happy
Day.
Father's Day to you. Love you. Everybody have a great weekend. Don't forget, next week, the WAPT is in town. We will be at Fairway next week, the Hodge Pack on the road. Check us out. Don't forget to download, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. A lot of great music coming up with JB Cloud, Greg Austin. High Lonesome this weekend. Have a good one. Happy Father's Day to everybody. This is the Hodge Pack, 106.9, the Country Giant. I've got to edit the show today, though.
This today, not tomorrow.